Ever since WitcherCon and the release of the new teaser for Season 2, I've seen a lot of people being confused about how the Netflix show and the Witcher games are related. Some of my viewers are wondering whether they'll get to see anything from the third game in Season 2 and other similar questions, so I decided to clear things up very briefly, and I will try to do it as spoiler-free as possible.
Who taught you to fight like this?
So, here's how it goes. First came the Witcher books, written by this Polish gentleman back in the 90s, which are mostly about the adventures of Witcher Geralt and his daughter by choice, Ciri. She makes her first appearance in the second book, The Sword of Destiny, where she's around the age of 10 or so. And by the time the last chronological book, Lady of the Lake, is over, she's around 16. Now, after the release of the books, the small video game developers CD Projekt Red, who apparently really liked the saga, decided to give the author of the books a bunch of money in exchange for the rights to create a few video games set in the same world which continue the story more or less from the same point where the books left off. So the Witcher games are CD Projekt Red's sequel to the books. The Witcher 3 specifically happening several years after the events of Lady of the Lake and Ciri being in her 20s at that point. Then, few years after the last game, Netflix also decided to give the author a bunch of money and create their own Witcher show set in the same world. The main difference, however, is that unlike the games, which are set after the books, Netflix is essentially remaking the books in a TV show format. Season 1 mostly covered the first two, Last Wish and Sword of Destiny, and now the second season will mainly cover the third book, Blood of Elves. It will also cover at least one short story from the previous books, but as far as we can tell, it's mainly showing the events of the third one. And I want to stress once again, yes, Netflix is taking liberties both with the characters and the storylines, but in my opinion, these differences are not major enough to say that the show is something completely, entirely new. Things might change in the following season, they might truly go their way, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Now, with all that said, I do understand why there may be some confusion on these matters. Ciri on Netflix, for example, looks quite a bit older than she is supposed to be in this time period. She can easily pass for someone in their late teens, which the actress is, I think, while actually being 12 or 13 or so at that point. And therefore people might associate her more so with the grown-up Ciri we see in the games and less so with her younger self. Fun fact is that the little girl we see during the dream sequence of the third game is exactly the same person at the same point in the timeline during Season 2 of the Netflix show. Other reasons why you might be confused is, for example, the fact that Geralt's voice in the show is inspired by the English voice of Geralt in the third game. They are teasing a female character who is essentially described like Gontor O'Dim. The fight with the Striga was visually and cinematically incredibly similar to the recollection of the same fight during the first game. Yennefer has the same hairstyle? Pretty sure she's supposed to have curlier hair in the books. And even now that CD Projekt Red and Netflix are collaborating officially, we can see the Witcher 3's sword in the show and Netflix gear coming to the game. However, in the end of the day, if the show stays true to their original path of following the books, then technically we should never see the events that happen in the games being portrayed in the Netflix series. And the very last season of the show should end before the games even begin. The same goes for characters such as Gontor O'Dim, the Bloody Baron, Olgierd, Tomira, and so on, who will likely never be seen in the show since they were newly introduced in the video games. But it's fairly likely that there will be events and characters which are, at least to a certain extent, inspired by the games. Okay, that was it. I hope this video was helpful. Feel free to correct me if you think I was wrong about some of the things I talked about, and if you still have questions, I'd be happy to answer them down in the comments. I do read pretty much all of them, so don't be shy. Alright, thank you very much for watching, special thanks to my YouTube members and supporters, and until the next video. stay tuned, and be good. Oh, and by the way, I had to record this video twice. For some reason my microphone went all crazy on me. Thank you very much for watching. Special thanks to my YouTube members and supporters. Never seen this happen in 10 years, but there you go.